Hello everyone, welcome back to another bird day, and I'm going to go straight into it and catch you up on any news right at the end. Hope you enjoy it. Today's bird is a tawny owl. I hear them all the time, and I have a little wash house just at the back of my yard, and I occasionally see it sitting on the chimney, and I just see the silhouette really. So that's how it can be in my book, because I'm only doing birds that come to my garden. And I've got a really nice pile of material that I think will be really useful. I've got some Tilda brown fabric. That is actually I bought to do a project that's still in my brain to do, and I haven't developed my pattern yet, but it's ongoing. I've got cream, flannel, linen. This is the most exciting part really. This is the leftover bubbly end of the scarf I cut up for the Kawandi that I posted on Wednesday. I cut the end off because of the bubbles. I didn't want them in. And then I thought, that's really good bubbly wool. I think I'll cut that up. And so I started to cut the pieces up to save the yarn, which I thought would be useful because it's quite nice and it's very soft and it's cotton. So now I've got these little fluffy bits which I think are quite nice and might be able to use in the owl, but also I thought they would be useful for all sorts of things. But the byproduct of cutting them out means I've got these raggy bits of cotton, and I actually think they'd be really good for the owl. And then for the background, while I was looking around, I found this bit of it's polyester silk that I'd had painted up for something else. It's just a bit of leftover, but I thought, even though it's a bit purpley and orange, that would actually make a good background for the owl, because I'm going to try and do him sitting on the chimney. And so because that's soft and because I know that that won't be stable enough for a page, I'm going to use this bit of old pillowcase as a backing, and I'm going to hoop up with both of those fabrics together. I'm hooped up, but just before I started I thought I'd show you my hoop, because I have in the past had one or two questions about it. So this is actually a chair hoop, and it comes apart and it has this piece here that I'm using on the table, but that shape is actually meant to go underneath your thigh, and so you put this underneath your leg where you're sitting on a chair, either a dining chair or an armchair, and then the hoop has a stalk that fits down into there like that. And then you tighten that up at whatever height you want. And then here you have you can lock it into position, you can then swivel it round, and you can get it to the most comfortable angle that you want. They're really useful. Well, after I've had a bit of a bother really, I'm about ready to start and put the owl on. I wanted to put him sitting on the chimney of my shed roof, and I'm going to show you a picture of my shed roof. It's only a little shed, but it has a rendered chimney, and you can see it's only little. It's only a little, used to be an old wash house, and there's the chimney, and he sits on there. But for some reason I just couldn't get the scale right at all. But anyway, I've put this on, and I have my owl. I sort of did like that so I could place him. So I know he sits on the corner of the chimney, but he just looks giant. But it's more that the chimney's tiny rather than he's giant. So I'm hoping it's going to turn out all right. I've cut his body out from flannel, and what I've got in my needle is a single strand of flower thread. And we'll just put him on with nice stitches that are going to go in the way of the feathers, but I'm more concerned with just being able to get the shapes down, almost like a jigsaw really. And once he's placed, I might realise whether I've got the chimney right or not. I hope he turns out nice, because I don't actually see him in the daylight. It's more that I hear him hooting on an evening, and then if I look out I can see the silhouette. I have some pieces cut out so that I knew where I was going to put things. In the end I've just used this lovely linen because it was so nice. It looked like a good base colour, and then I can go lighter or darker. Just start them going down in the way I know the feathers are going to go. Yes, in the days when I didn't really have much money to be buying lots of thread, I used to do whatever I could to keep the stuff I did have on top of my fabric and not waste it by going needlessly to and from different areas. And one of the stitches that is really economical like that is a split stitch, because you're just going back a little couple of millimeters and then you can make a whole big stitch on the front again. And I think I just fell into the habit of doing that stitch, and it's just a good stitch to use. It's still just a straight stitch. I'm just going to come back down with some lovely straight stitches. This variegated thread is really doing its job well. Could have done fly stitch really, which I think I might do on the next feather. I think I've been really looking forward to doing the owl. I knew he would be one of them, and actually I've got an idea for the page that will sit beside this one in the book. Because instead of jumping across to here, I can work my way up, and then that thread's on the top. That's another thing that I'll do on here. I have beautiful, beautiful patterned wings. I'm working back up these few tail feathers with a bit of fly stitch, which just means that I'm going in across from where I want the stem of the fly to be, and I'm coming up in the centre rib to catch the loop. I don't want these fly stitches to be that even, because the feathers aren't even. I can see on my image that the feather rib is off centre. I'm just going to come straight down this bit because it's very shadowy under his wings. I forgot to say actually that the chimney fabric is the cuff of the hoodie that I made my hoodie dress from, and the dark charcoal for the roof is an old t-shirt of my husband's. I've got some off-white flower thread in my needle, and I want to be able to put his legs in and his feathery tummy, and I want to utilise this, which is the bubble that I've cut off the grey scarf, and I think it's going to make a nice leg, so I am actually just going to cut it off here. In fact, I'll cut two off. They're well wound together, I don't think they're going to come apart. Actually, the underneath where it's not dyed as much is even better. So I'm going to pull it a bit there to expose that white, and I'm going to lay it in with white thread. I'm just going to lay some long white stitches, and if they get seen, they get seen, and if they don't, they don't. Sort of where his leg's gonna go, onto the top of the chimney. And so the next thing I want to do is make his fluffy chest. And again, I'm going to try and utilise this lovely frayed up scarf. Trying to think how I'm going to use it. And I think I'm just going to keep the long piece as it is and start couching it down and see what happens. So I'll start there. I'll zigzag it over so I've got all these fluffy bits coming. This scarf is so soft it can just be creased up and put in just in the perfect way. It's more just manipulating the fabric to do what you want it to do. I'm going to bring this piece in right up into here. Oh, look at that, it's lovely. I think I'm quite happy with the way that's gone in. I'll leave that the way it is. I've got my variegated brown in again, and I'm going to just try and start to put the embroidering in, the stitching, the top of his wing. I just want to be thinking, how are the feathers lying? How do I want my stitches to lie to make them look like they're feathers? I'm going just over the top of my tacking stitches because they will melt into the background. And so these shoulder stitches are coming in quite nicely. Using quite long stitches for the long feathers. Thing with Tawny Owls is they're quite mottled. That's probably why they're called tawny. I've laid in some straight stitches to define the feathers here in white, and so I'm just going to go up and down a bit to make his very white feathers really white, to differentiate them from this oatmeal background. So he's got some white feathers there, and then also down under here. They're a total mix of colours: brown, black, tan. I've got white in my needle and I'm going to dot around, I think, and just outline the white feathers that I need to have white, because I'm getting a bit lost off with the amount of mottling. So I think it'll be helpful to just almost draw the white feather parts in. Just beautifully straight stitches that are going to go exactly where his white feather edges are. I think he's being a bit of a challenge. First the chimney, and now his mottled wings. Well, I can get a sense of him, definitely, but I need a bit, almost I need to draw his shape. I think this is the last one that needs the white on it. And get some white into here as well. I've changed colour. I've now got a single strand of this sort of a salmony tan colour. Put a few stitches through this feathery breast. I've done more white along the edge of there. I've thickened up all this white here. I'm just going to put just a few straight stitches through. They're not particularly obvious, but they are just going to give that shading. So I'm just going to give a sense of these feathers being mottled. I think I don't need to do much more than suggest this colour. I've been getting more of the markings put in because there's quite a lot of stitching on this bird, so I've just tried to get on with it. Otherwise my videos would be, you know, like 4 hours long. I end up editing so much out to get something that I feel I can post and still show you all enough. But sometimes I just have to sit here and do a bit stitching and then catch you up. Putting the markings on the long wing feathers, and I got sick of stabbing up and down, so I'm just using the bit of looseness in the hoop to push up with my right hand and go through from the top. And it's suiting me fine to do that because I can see so quickly where my stitches are coming. And this is a variegated colour, so I am getting gradations, which is really nice. Okay, so when I say I'm walking up, I usually try not to make great big gaps on the back where my thread's getting wasted. So I usually find a place I can walk my way up to my next area, but still use the thread. So I'm going to lay the shadow in at the bottom of the wing and use that shadow to walk my way to where I actually want to be, which is up here. Just make a bit of a separation here. So I take my way right the way back down. This will really make a big difference to him, I think. Just get that piece on the top of his wing. And I think I'm going to shade back up there with another row of stitches. Definitely making a difference on his wings, laying this brown in. I think I'll just do some little seed stitches, type of stitches up here, just to show that the mottling's there. Been putting some of this tan colour through the long wings and just going to do these wing feathers a little bit. Don't need too much on, but I do want to see that there's not just the brown and cream. And I'll just put a few running type stitches up here. Again, just to signify that that mottled colour is here. You might notice that I'm not particularly fastening things off. It's because I know that the stitching on the back will secure everything in. And it's not like this is something to be worn. It's going to be backed with another page. And so I'm happy that the stitching just gets caught down with every other bit of stitching. Well, I want to give myself a chance to get the face right. So I'm almost going to draw it with this brown thread. Maybe I should have used a fabric on here. Oh, I've got an idea. These bubbles are in different colours. I've got a feeling I can use a bubble. In fact, that little bit of yellowy bit on there, I think that's going to work a treat. I'm going to manipulate these into just where I want them to be. Okay, well, I already have a bubble for his eye. I'm going to come up in the eye. I'm going to come up in the middle of that and make that his eye. I hope this is going to work. This is a bit bizarre. I think it is going to work. If it doesn't, you know what will happen? I'll just delete this whole bit of video and then you'll never know. Well, it does look slightly bizarre at the moment, but I'm going to carry on. It's definitely making a good texture. I almost feel like I want to comb them out. Maybe it might be better pulling them apart altogether. I can trim it all up at the end. I've made some dark brown on here. I think it's really surprised me just how wonderful these little bubbles are going in. And so I've totally changed how I was going to do the owl's face because of them. Because my original plan was to actually use these bits of the frayed shawl where the bubbles came off. Anyway, I'm going to just carry on getting all of this fluff couched down, and then I'm going to overstitch it because I definitely want some definition to the face that's not just fluff. Just shows you can get things from the most unlikely source. I was thinking I was going to keep those bubbles to add to the collar or a cuff of a jumper or a new dress. I feel as if the owl's been quite a difficult thing to stitch so far, starting off with the scale of the chimney. I think I'm going to just work out how I'm going to put some definition in. It's looking pretty cool actually. I'm just using up this piece of brown. There's so many little flicks and on the feathers. I'm worried that I'll overcomplicate it and then the whole bird won't look anything. But this is how they are. They're flicked with brown and tan as a camouflage. And so I feel to miss them out, I'd be missing the essence of the bird. I thought it would probably be helpful to get his beak in so I can shape the face. So I'm just going to place it there. I've got a single thread of my silver grey and I'm going to try and put that in and shape his face at the same time. And I can probably try and nestle it down underneath all this fluff. But I definitely don't want stitches through the bottom of his beak. So I am just going to try and leave that loose. Well, I have been absolutely looking everywhere for beads for the owl's eyes because I thought I had to put them in next. And in the end, in this bunny jar, which I thought I'd show you because I thought you might like it, this is a jar of odds and ends, mainly vintage, but some modern as well, glass beads, mainly glass beads. So the things in here like these glass tubes, which are super cool. Some of them are broken, but I'm not quite sure what they've been from probably from a chandelier, I would think. Anyway, they're in there along with lots of other vintage goodness. I found these. None of them are quite right, but I've got these black flat beads, which are not quite big enough. So they're nice that they're flat, but they're just too small. Well, I think they're too small. I'll put two on. Maybe I can show you. There, they definitely, they're too small. And then I've got two odd beads. So these are two different ones, but they look sort of bigger. So I think I'm going to go with those beads because although they're odd, they're a bigger size than those. I'll come up for the first eye and I'm going to put the biggest bead on. And I'll come up for the other eye. And let's see what I can do to make the shape of those look more owl-like. Oh, he's sort of appeared now though, hasn't he? Hello, owl. And I want them to look settled into his face, not just stuck on top. I think the fluff's going to help that. I'm going to give him a bit of a hooded eye. So I'm going to lay in the radiating stitches coming from his eye. I want to preserve this fluffiness because it's really lovely. But I do want to show the direction of the feathers. Just going to make sure that I can put stitches down around the beak. His eyes are just too round for me. I'm not sure I like it. I'm going to have to come up with something because I don't like the roundness. Really like this, the way the top of the beak's gone now. Beak looks like it's coming from his face. So he's almost finished. I feel as if his face is a bit too short now. We'll see. Maybe I've put the eyes too low down. Putting the final stitches into his face. This has definitely been quite a challenge, I think, getting his eyes right. I have lifted them up the face a bit. So I'm not sure whether really I would have been better off by just embroidering the eyes in the first place. But it's done now and I've got the shape of them. I feel better than I did before. And so I think I'm going to stop fussing and do the rest of his leg and say, my goodness, that's been a task. Definitely something. Sewing can be something that even though you've done it for years, you learn all the time. I'm not quite sure what I've learned today. Owls are difficult to embroider. I think that's what I've learned today. Or maybe I just made it more difficult than it needed to be. Just going to paint his beak in now. And then I'll finish the leg off at the end and show you the finished thing. I hope all this fuss has not put you off subscribing or putting a like button, pressing the like button for me, because I think this has been a challenge. And I'm just going to use my Inktense to just paint this bit of leather to the beak colour. And I think I can put some shading. You can just sort of get his nostrils in there like that. Well, here's my finished page, surrounded by all the detritus of 2 days worth of trying to get him right. He's been a bit of a marathon, but I think I'm pleased with how he is. He could be better. I haven't quite got the shape of the head and everything right. I think once it started to go wrong, I should have maybe just started something else. But I really liked putting the fluff on, and that's worked really well. The fluffy legs worked well. I'd forgotten to put the little flecks on his tummy, so I've done them. And while I had the Inktense out to do his beak, I've just added a bit of shading here on his shoulder. And that's about it, really. I'm not sure whether I've got the scale right at all, but I'm not doing anything else. The more I fiddle, the worse it's going to get. So I'm just going to say Tawny Owl is finished. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. And although I feel that I didn't quite get the owl's head right, and it probably was something to do with the beads I used in the end for the eyes, or maybe it was just I couldn't get the owl's head right, I'm still happy with how he turned out, and he's definitely earned his place in the book, especially when it was 2 days worth of stitching altogether by the time I figured out what I was doing. So he's definitely there, and I'm happy in the end, but I just would mark that could do better. Never mind. It just proves that things can go wrong for everybody, and not everybody's things turn out right, but we just have to get on with it and move forward again. Before I say anything else, while I was stitching the owl, my channel passed the 2,000 subscriber mark, so thank you very much, everyone. I couldn't believe it. My lovely quilt, my lovely Kawandi, had so much engagement, and everybody's really loved it, and it really surprised me how it's just gone really, you know, so many people have enjoyed watching it. So thank you very much, everyone who's subscribed and who sent me messages about saying how lovely the tutorial was. It makes me so happy to think that I've done something that everybody's really enjoyed watching, and it's brought a lot of new people in to see what else I'm up to, which includes mangling a Tawny Owl in stitch. So never mind, I'll just say thank you to everyone. You know how much it means to me, and how I had a very tentative start, and sometimes I find things quite difficult because of whatever, and it gives me a lovely boost to my confidence, so really thank you very much. Anyway, yesterday my sister dragged me out to the charity thrift shop at Walsingham, which is not very far from me, because they'd had a huge amount of craft supplies donated, which is not really usual. You just don't see much in charity shops. However, look what I'm showing you. I got all of these threads. There were so many. He had 2 massive baskets of stranded cotton, I think this is about 1/5, because he was quite happy for me to make him an offer for the lot. But really, even though I embroidered a lot, there was more than I'd ever use in my lifetime. So I just pulled out a whole bundle, and this is only half of what I got because I shared the rest with my sister. And so I don't know where I'm even going to put them. There's not room in my lovely boxes. I think they're just going to be spares. I'm going to look at the colours that I use, and I'm nearly out of black and 1 or 2 of my dark browns, because with them being bears, that's what I've used a lot of. So I'm really pleased to have got them. So that's one thing I got while I was there. But what I saw was this beautiful king size bed cover, quilt cover, and it's the most lovely cotton. Let me see, and those lovely colours. It's king size. It's cost me £3. And the thing is, I'm so addicted to the Kawandi now. This would make such a beautiful backing for a really big Kawandi. So that's what I bought it for. I thought, well, I've got 2 there. I've got the back and the front, so I can make 2 new quilts. And then this morning I woke up and thought, no, I don't want to make another Kawandi. I actually want to make a dress. So I'm going to use this to make myself a new dress. So the stripy bit will be the bodice, and the skirt, I'm going to Kawandi it. I'm going to make it a Kawandi. So it'll have the patchwork or a plique patch skirt and the stripy bodice. I don't know when, but that is definitely what is happening with this quilt. So that dress in the end is going to have cost me £3, well less, because it's not going to take a king size duvet to make me a dress. And all my scraps will be still getting used. And the thing is with the Kawandi, they're so lovely drape. It's going to make a good drapey skirt, I think. I don't need to put so much scarves in the middle. I'll just put one in, so there'll be the backing, a scarf and the scraps, and it should still make a really drapey soft skirt. That is what that's going to be. And the other thing to say is I've actually cut out my linen coat. I haven't started to stitch yet. I've been so busy with the blooming owl. So as soon as I start stitching that, I expect to see videos coming, because that'll be over a little while. Because it'll take me a while, because it's going to be hand sewn, but it is cut out, and with any luck this weekend I will be starting to stitch that. I'm very excited. So I think I'm just going to leave it there and say thank you very much for watching my videos. Welcome to all new subscribers from wherever you've come from, and thank you for staying to all the subscribers that have been with me from the beginning, which was just back in June. Thank you everyone. Send me messages, I love it. I love reading them, and I try and reply to them all. So thank you for that. So please subscribe to my channel and send me the thumbs up, I don't know what to call that. Send me the like button, that's it. Please press the like button if you've liked it, because obviously that helps YouTube get the videos out to more people if they know that you've really liked it. And yeah, watch me to the end, because I always add on the things at the end of what's coming up. So I hope you liked all that, and I'll see you next time. And I'm just going to say bye from Marion's World. Bye everyone. Thank you.